everyone, welcome back to the Anime Iceberg. I'm Megan,
And I'm Meg.
and today we're talking about Dr. Stone, episode 56, First Dream.
Yes, this is season 3, episode 20. And summary of the episode, Senku and Chrome work together to revive the rest of the Kingdom of Science. And while repairing the Perseus, the Kingdom of Science discovers the location of Y-Man and set their next goal, going to the moon.
Episode ramped up to an 11 really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And this is manga chapters 138, epilogue of part 3 slash end of part 3 slash main story, the truth behind the petrification. And chapter 139, First Dream.
Oh my goodness, that's
I don't know how they
hilarious.
do it in the magazine. Maybe he had to like say,
Yeah,
this is our story arc, so here's how we're going through them or something.
yeah. Okay. So now that Senku has won the day, it's time for him to start reviving people. And the first person he revives is Chrome, and it's just like the sweetest reunion. Like,
Yeah,
it's like if
get
you're
there.
standing here, that
You
means we
won.
won.
Get
And
the
then
high
they,
five in
yeah,
there.
get their high
I
five.
love that the manga page when Senku revives Chrome. It's just so I don't know. It's like simple, but it's one of my favorite pages in the whole manga because it's like you just see Senku standing there and Chrome's revived and they're like Chrome's just so happy and I don't know, like this it's the first time that the Kingdom of Science has gotten to take a breather and that there's been some hope.
Yeah. Now it's time for them to get to work. They quickly realize they're two weak boys. Chrome's not that weak, but Senku is. And he's also injured and has had a day. And they're hungry, so they first revive Amaryllis to find food, and then they're tired, and then they revive Taiju, and then they need somebody to cook for them, so they revive Francois. I don't know, it's kind of a unique group of people, honestly. I enjoyed it. And I was thinking this is like the first like I was thinking Francois that this is the first time that they have been revived because
Yes,
they
we're
weren't
growing
revived.
seaweed.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so they're all like sitting down for a meal and Senku's telling them about the call that Rory made and Chrome is like, "Hmm, why did she call? Like she must have had a reason." And Amaryllis like immediately picks up on that. He's like, "Ooh, what's your relationship?" Francois says that. Oh, he was actually she was married to Senku, and this is when we learn this is the first time that Taiji is hearing about it. And Senku's like, "It's no big deal. We were divorced 3 minutes later."
You've been
And
divorced too? Why did you tell me?
it's so good. I love that they like keep bringing that back. It's so
I
good.
know, I know. It's funny.
So they decide they need to contact her again, but the Perseus has been destroyed. And so then they basically just like start reviving everyone so that they can rebuild the ship. And including Kirisame,
I'm
which
so glad she got revived. I I
yeah,
I like her a
yeah,
lot, honestly.
I do too. And
Yeah.
Senku was like, and I don't remember who was questioning. Was
Chrome
it?
Chrome said
Yeah,
first, like he was like, "Are we sure we want to bring her back? She was against us before."
yeah.
And and then well, in the manga, Magma goes smashy smashy kill. And like
And then Senku's just like, nope, we're doing
Senku's
it.
like,
And
now we're
then
reviving her. And Gen kind of expresses some concern, like, oh, you didn't hesitate one bit. Are you sure? And Senku assures him, like, she was being tricked. She was on the wrong side, but not because she was
hmm.
evil. So,
Yeah,
and
I
he
like it.
needs her for another reason. But
Yes, yes. And I think in the anime he does say something like now she's not under the thumb of Ibara
hmm
and like the true intentions were revealed. So
yeah.
she's she's okay.
I also like a moment in the manga when they find the Perseus has been destroyed, and everyone's sort of like, okay, now we got to get back to work. And Francois just goes off and is preparing the mess hall, and Amarilla says, "Too competent. It's kind of gross." Wait, no, I love it.
I do too. Francois is just like that person that's just like seeing what needs to be done and just doing
Uh-huh.
it. And like
Yeah.
I love that and I love those people. They're the best. I would say I'm not one of those people. I sometimes living in my own world, like, oops, that probably needed to be done. But anyway, that now the moment that we've been waiting for, we see part of the reason why Senku wants to revive Kirisame, that he needs to know the location of Ginro and Kohaku. And then they go to revive them. And we get this sweet moment between Ginro and Kinro, but then Ginro like immediately ruins it by being himself. Um, by trying to hug Kohaku. Um, and then, but then, seriously, this is like such a great moment. Senku and Kohaku hug, and just like the look on Senku's face, just like the tenderness, like,
He
and
doesn't actually like hug her back,
no,
like
he
embrace her with his
doesn't.
arms. He just
But
he just kind
like,
of like turns and lets her hug him, but it's
yeah,
it's like they share this really awesome moment and um Kirisame is actually a little bit flustered because way back
yeah,
when Senku and Kohaku pretended to be a couple and she gets kind of embarrassed and shy about stuff like that. But Amaryllis is like, "No, it's not that kind of hug. That's
yeah.
not that's not what's happening here."
I love that Amaryllis slash the author immediately clarified, like, nope,
Yeah.
not romantic.
Well,
This is just like platonic. Also, I'll just say, I when I was making the episode post for today, I was like scrolling through the manga and I there was it was for episode 54 and one of like the chapter covers is like Kahaku and Senku like and dressed in like space
oh yeah.
stuff and like I think he was like holding her or something and I was like wow they
No, there's another one of those, like, I think it was a colored illustration and then they turned it black and white and put it in a chapter break in one of the volumes. But it's like, I think after they first find Ryusui, because it's all, ocean themed, sea
hmm
themed, and Senku's like on the beach and he's carrying a mermaid Kohaku over his shoulder.
Yeah, I love that they like tease you with like all the extra art, but then in reality it's like,
Well, yeah,
nope.
because she's kind of like to anyone who's familiar with shonen, she could be the
hmm
token girl character. Because
Yeah.
in shonen, you usually have a trio of two guys and one girl, and the girl ends up with either of the guys. So in this story, it's like we have multiple trios and multiple girls, and who's gonna end up with who? I don't know.
Yeah. It's great. And speaking of girls, everyone's like back on the ship celebrating, and they finally have their like communication. What is it?
Radio?
Show me. I'm fine.
Been a long day, you guys.
Ah, why? Okay. Anyway, yes. They got the radio working and they contact Rory and like, "Hey, what's up?" And she says something along the lines of like, "Was that you guys?" And they're like, "What?" And then we hear this interference and we hear somebody say I don't remember the exact number, but basically it's the whole
Circumference of the
Earth
world.
in 1 second. And it's Senku's voice.
Here it is in the manga. 12,800,000 meters in 1 second.
Mm, I'm not
He's
gonna
and
remember
he's
that.
really excited.
Of course he is. Come on. Um, and at first he's whistling and everybody's talking like,
You know,
oh,
they
is it?
they missed why he's whistling in the manga. It's because
Mm.
Chrome looks at him and goes, "Then who's this Senku?" And Senku just whistles.
I like it. And they're like, Senku's the bad guy, and they're all super confused, but then Ukio figures out that it's synthetic. It's not Senku's voice. It's somebody made it. And this is when they learn that somebody's listening in on them. They need to figure out what's going on. So they found that one like ancient islander in the
Oh,
ocean
the one that
when
Taiju
Taiju,
brought
yeah,
back.
that Taiju brought back, and they revive him. His name is Matsukaze, and he's an interesting fellow because he sees Ginro and immediately starts calling him master. And apparently,
Yes.
Ginro strongly resembles one of his ancestors.
Yes, and Matsukaze also uses some very dated language in the manga. Like he speaks very old-fashionedly, and he sort of does in the anime too, like very formally and like and the way he dresses too. He's got like an older Japanese kind of style about him, like a samurai,
That's interesting because they all got turned to stone at
right?
the same time. And like even the people that lived and like carried on were from
That's what
that
I noticed.
generation. So,
In his flashback on the island, the people around him had more traditional Japanese styles. And I guess the islanders like it's totally different now with Amaryllis's generation, you know, with
hmm.
like the dresses and the pearls and like the more seafaring kind of garb. So I'm wondering if it's just because like fashion changes and there are different influences and like the different hundred tales and they just decide to emulate certain things and it just kind of evolves over time.
Yeah, maybe. Because like also like if they were wearing, yeah, like more traditional clothing, like who of the astronauts, like one of the astronauts had to have been like, okay, I'm gonna make this and show everybody like this is the clothing we're gonna wear.
Byakuya was the
Was it?
only
Yeah, he
Japanese
was.
one.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
were three Russians and two Americans.
hmm. I don't
Byakuya
know.
was the one who came up with the Hundred Tales, though, so I mean, like, they would have more of a Japanese influence.
Yeah. And I think I remember in the flashbacks, like at least when he died, was he wearing a kimono?
Something, definitely something that, like, closed like a kimono. I don't think it was. He might have had pants, but, like,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, I think. Okay, anyway, that doesn't make total sense to me, but that's fine. Like the old-fashioned language and stuff. Like there's no reason for it. Okay, getting past it. But Matsukaze, he tells how a bunch of the Medusa devices fell from the sky and like turned people to stone. And he says, and he love it because he says that one thing, and then um Kasaki and Chrome and Senku just like speed away. And they're like, you didn't even hear the rest of the story. And they're like, science will fill in the gaps. And I loved it. Yeah, but then in the kind of the last scene of the episode, we learn that the Y Man is on the moon. And they
Yep.
figured that out based on
How the signal was reaching them and, like, the,
yeah,
yeah.
yep. And so their next goal is going to the moon.
I loved Gen's reaction. Like, Senku's just like, yep, Y-Man's on the moon. And Gen's like, Senku, I know what you're gonna say. There is no possible way. We are not. And Senku's like, yes, we are. We're going to the moon.
Dude, it's awesome. It's his lifelong dream. And that's
Uh,
why I'm sure that's why the episode is called First Dream, because
aw,
it was his
yeah.
first dream.
I'd also like to note
And
within that scene, like as they're explaining, you know, all the happenings and what's going on with the communication, like they had set up a dining hall for everyone to eat while they were talking, and Senku has this ginormous plate of food, and like in one scene it's there, and he scarfs it all down off screen, and the next scene it's like empty.
no, I did like I kind of like it was like they were having like obviously there's like a lot more people like on the ship, but like kind of like the inner group, they were all
Mhm.
having like their own
Conference.
yeah.
Okay, so we got a manga note. So Mecha Senku Q&A. What's inside the pouches hanging at Senku's waist? Mecha Senku says, basic chemicals, soap, and other things. Senku cannot carry everything at once, so when he has a hunch that one thing or another will soon be useful, he'll swap out some contents for others.
Nice.
I assume that's what everyone who has bags or pouches does.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there are a few characters who carry around things with them. Anyway, we have another voice actor to introduce because we met a new character, Matsukaze. He's played by Alejandro Saab, who is Miyamura from Horimiya, Shinichiro Sano from Tokyo Revengers, Chonshasha from Link Click, and Saino from Genshin Impact, which is a great character. Um, Also, we have met him. Unfortunately, we met him before we knew or watched most of the things he was in. But we did, well, I knew him from Link Click first and foremost, so it was really nice to meet him and get his thoughts on the show. He's really nice, and it's obvious he really gets into his fandoms. He also does some English covers of anime songs, so be sure to check that out. It's under Sayu, I think is how you pronounce his. It's
Yeah.
like
I know.
C
Let me look. Let me
C
look. Because
C
I know
Y U
it's
Y.
four letters.
Yeah.
Cyyyu.
Okay. Yeah, and Matsukaze's name means pine wind. It's a very foresty type of name. Yes. And tracking. Chrome said that's so bad twice. So I'll count those.
Yeah, and then Senku said, get excited. Once.
Yes. Because they're going to the moon. Um, Animation expertise. So there was a detail at the very beginning of the episode that I loved. So when Chrome first gets revived, you see his eye, like the depetrification starts at his eye. It first it takes in light, then the colors slowly come back, and then his pupil dilates. It was just like it happened so fast, but I was like, oh,
Mm,
that's really intricate. That's good on them.
I did not notice that.
Well, you're not an animator, so I don't expect. Sorry, gee, I offended her.
Good thing this is not a video.
Wow.
We'll leave the audience to imagine what just happened.
All right. Okay, personal stories. So first off, Nyla left some comments for us on Spotify. Um, one of them was just about we had mentioned that we were entering that wordless world manga competition. We didn't win anything, so I posted the whole thing on our Instagram if you want to check that out at the Anime Iceberg. And then Nyla also said that the episode with Francois and like learning how to bake bread, like Nyla's a professional pastry chef. So the
Hmm.
the info was accurate that they gave. Some things were left out in the episode, but could be inferred based on the steps they were taking. So I thought that was pretty good info. I may work at a bakery, but I do not make the bread, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Thanks.
And then I guess one thing from me, I was reading a book called Wings of Starlight by Allison Soft, I think is how you say her last name. But it's like this chapter book she wrote for Disney about the Disney fairies, Clarion and Mallory, if you ever watched Secret of the Wings, which that's my childhood. I was very much into the Disney fairy books growing up, and I loved the Tinkerbell movies except for the last one because I think they butchered Fawn's character, but whatever. Anyway, so this one was about the romance between Clarion and Mallory, how they first met, because they didn't really give too many details in the one movie, and everyone from our generation wanted to know. So she wrote a book about it. I guess this isn't a spoiler because if you watched the Secret of the Wings movie, you know that Mallory has a broken wing and a fairy can't fly if their wing breaks and there's no way to heal it. So, like, I knew the book was going to be leading up to that and it would be kind of like a tragic story. And it was a good book. Like, it was like a very good insight into both of their characters, and I thought they were done well. But the moment when his wing broke, I feel like for how important of an event that was, it could have been a bit more dramatic. Because I felt like the way in which it happened, I was like, oh, that could have been avoided. That totally could have been avoided. Anyway, moving on.
Hmm,
But yeah, otherwise, I'd say like go pick it up, go read it. The cover art is gorgeous.
nice. I am tired. That's my contribution.
Okay.
Megan, what was your favorite line of the episode?
Mine was from Senku when Taiju commented that he's never seen him get angry. It definitely happens, dude. I'm far from a saint, but it wastes precious time. And I think I've borrowed that line from Senku a couple times in real life because people tell me that. They're like, "Do you ever get mad?" Like, yeah, ask my brother.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I feel too.
How about you, Meg?
Mine also came from Senku after Matsukaze was revived. Um, I don't, he said he asked Senku some kind of question, and Senku's response was, "Yep, you got it. Now tell us about this strange light that rocked your world."
Senku making puns. Wow.
Yep. All right. And what did we learn in this episode?
It's not that kind of hug. But seriously, though, I think we need to talk about the importance of platonic relationships in media and also how important physical touch is too, like just the act of hugging someone or holding their hand or whatever. But there's, I can't remember who posted this, but I saw a post online and somebody had said like she traveled to different countries and realized how touch-starved Americans are because like I think she did go to Japan. She's like, in Japan, these guys are like arms slung over each other, touching all the time and not afraid of anyone calling them gay. In America, heaven forbid, two straight boys should touch each other. And like just look at the outsiders. Like those boys were like hugging each other and the brothers were like being very affectionate towards each other and I don't know. I just
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of sad that like and especially between guys and girls too, like it's almost like you're not allowed to have platonic relationships and people assume things immediately.
Yeah, it's annoying. And I'll be honest, I'm not a touchy person at all. But I do like, yeah, in shows and stories and stuff when there's like platonic stuff, I'm like, oh, this is the best. I don't know. It's just weird. Like I think if like you grow up a certain way and then it's hard to like break those habits.
Right.
But yeah. Okay. Who pushed the story forward?
Well, first off, we have to get a shout out to Chrome because he came up with the plan that helped Senku avoid being petrified. But Senku and Ukyo for figuring out Y Man's location.
All right. That is all we've got for this episode. We will be taking a break next week.
On
But then we will,
vacation.
yes, we're both going on vacation to the same spot.
Yes.
So, and we will be making an episode about our vacation. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'll be a good time. We will keep it a secret for now. So, stay tuned. All right. We will see you next time. We won't see you.
We will speak at you next time.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
All
Bye.
right, bye.